What's up everyone? Welcome back to another one of my videos, and in this video we're going to be going over James Harden trade destinations part 1. I don't want to make this video too long, so it's probably going to be a two-part series. So before I get into it, I just want to talk about Houston very quickly and what they want. So what they want is a superstar in return, a young superstar in return, and first-round draft picks. And their price is pretty high, well, extremely high, and I don't know if anyone's actually going to match that. But that's why I'm doing this video, to talk about each individual team and what's going to take, or at least what the likelihood is for each team to get James Harden. So first up I have is Miami Heat. Now I know they're out of the running right now. That's what was told, and it makes sense. So I wanted to include the Heat in this video so everyone understands exactly why the Heat are out of it, and even if they try to get back into it, why it's not even, they shouldn't even be in consideration. So the first thing is their first round draft picks. They're all tied to the Clippers until 2026. And not only that, their only young talent consists of Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo. And are you really going to package both of them to pair Jimmy Butler with James Harden? I personally wouldn't. I feel like the make of Miami Heat is good the way it is, and hence, they made it to the final last year. So to get rid of the young talent doesn't make too much sense. And so without Bam in the deal right now, the numbers just won't work. Because they can't trade Harkless, Leonard, Bradley, or Dragic, as they are all free agent signings, so they have to wait until a specified date to be able to trade them. So as of right now, until probably like late February, early March, it's just not possible for the Heat to not include Bam. So overall, that's why their odds were slim to none, and it's probably going to remain none for the rest of the course of this whole situation. So moving on to the next team, which is the Dallas Mavericks. Now they don't have any. They can't offer any of their first round picks through 2027. So that's out of the picture. And their young talent consists of Doncic, Porzingis, Brunson, and Tyrell Terry. So I was playing around with the trade machine, and the only one that would actually work was Porzingis and James Johnson for Harden and PJ Tucker. And it just doesn't make any sense. Their odds are very unlikely that to land James Harden, and because it just doesn't make any sense. They're division rivals. Giving up a 25-year-old big man like Porzingis, who could stretch the floor, to pair your 21-year-old stud with a 32-year-old who plays the same position and plays the same way, doesn't make any sense. But I mean, if this were to happen, if Porzingis and Harden were traded for one another, Harden and Luka's stock for fantasy, the fantasy impact, their stock would both go down a bit. They'd still remain first round picks, but it'd be like a 1A, 1B. But you won't have the huge numbers consistently. Not only that, Hardaway and Josh Richardson's stocks would both go down, as Harden would take away from one of those guys. And in order for both to receive an adequate amount of minutes, they'd have to be playing the three both together. So they'd be eating into each other's minutes and not Harden's minutes. Now, on the other hand, in Houston, Porzingis, Wood, and Cousins stocks will all go down. They'll be overloaded with big men, which is another reason why this trade is weird and wouldn't work. And so then the Rockets would have to either just sit Cousins or trade Cousins. Or maybe they'd do that and do both, but it would just be pointless. Like he wouldn't be happy there, just sitting on the bench, because he wouldn't get a lot of time. And even then, I don't know if Porzingis and Wood would be on the floor together, because that'd be a weird fit. And also, James Johnson would just be there. He'd be in no man's land. He'd probably be playing the same role about 50 minutes a night. So moving on to the next team, which is the Toronto Raptors. Now, they have their own first-round picks. They own them through 2027, which is a good sign. Now, they can offer Pascal Siakam and Mikal plus first-round picks for Harden. But they cannot offer Van Fleet Baines, or Boucher until early March 5th to be exact, due to all of them being unrestricted free agents and being able to sign either back with Toronto or to Toronto in Baines' case. So this also doesn't make sense, much like the Dallas trade it wouldn't make sense, because if you trade for Siakam, which is their main young stud in Toronto, if you trade him to Houston, Houston would have Wood, Cousins, and Siakam, and there's just no fit there. It's just you'd be overloaded with big men again, and Wood and Siakam on the floor at the same time probably won't work out too well either. So not only that, in Toronto's case, you would have Harden, Lowry, and Van Fleet on the floor at the same time. Like, how would that work? It probably wouldn't. So one would probably have to come off the bench, and someone's usage rate would probably go down, and it'd probably be Van Fleet's, unless they try and work a way to eventually trade Lowry as well. So, in my opinion, Toronto's odds are very low to make a deal for Harden before March 5th. Now, after March 5th, then they could offer Van Fleet, and that'd be a perfect trade offer for both teams. But before, I don't know how this is going to work, because Houston wants to get rid of Harden sooner rather than later, especially with all the tension that's rising and rising and rising. So it doesn't make any sense to wait until March 5th. But if they can't get that second trade partner when March 5th comes around, it's anyone's game. And Toronto's chances go up dramatically, especially with the way Toronto will be willing, or has been willing in the past, to trade for a number one stud like Kawhi Leonard. When they did that, they won the championship. So they might go for round 2 here. So if they do make this move before March 5th, Harden stock's going to go down a bit. Lowry's and or Van Fleet's stocks will go down. When I say stocks, I mean fantasy. Their fantasy impact's going to go down. Their usage rate's going to go down. And the same thing is going to happen in Houston. Either Wood, Cousins, or Siakam, their stocks are going to go down as well. Because I don't know how they would work that in either team's case. I feel like everyone's stocks would go down, and if it is a trade, Siakam for Harden trade. All right, so next up we have Milwaukee. Milwaukee also has no first-round picks through 2027, and their only young player of note is Dante. I can't pronounce his last name yet. I'm still going to need more time on that, but Dante is their only young stud. But they could still work around that and offer either Drew Holiday or Middleton. But if they offered Holiday, they'd have to offer like 4 or 5 players. So it's kind of, the numbers wouldn't work with Holiday. But they would work perfectly with Middleton. If they offer Middleton and Dante for Harden, that trade in the trade machine works. And they can offer that. The only problem with that is I feel like Houston wouldn't get enough in return from their mindset. And that's why I think Milwaukee's odds of landing Harden are very low without a third team that can offer a young star. So instead of Middleton going to Houston, maybe just Dante goes to Houston and Middleton goes to the third team, and the third team sends its young assets to Houston. That's the only way I would see this working. And if this trade does go down and this does work, I don't know about the third team, but let's just say it's Middleton and Dante for Harden. Harden stock will remain the same. It'll be fine. It'll be golden. Same thing with the Greek Freak. His stock will be fine, as he is. I know he's been an MVP and he's still young. He isn't the number one guy you want on your team. You want him to be that solid 1B type of player in the sense of on the offensive side, because he's such a defensive presence. And he does a lot of everything besides score the outside shot. So if you have him, Harden, for your number one option, your number one guard, that'd be a perfect situation for Milwaukee, I believe. And then to have also Drew Holiday as your third option, I feel like that would be an awesome fit for the Bucks and would dramatically raise the Bucks' chances to win a championship in my eyes. So if that does happen, we talked about Harden, we talked about the Greek Freak. Now, if Middleton goes to Houston, let's just say they cave, they give in, they send Dante and Middleton to Houston. Middleton's value, his fantasy impact, it shouldn't change much. As a matter of fact, it'll probably go up a little bit because he will probably work really well with Wall and get a lot of open shots. And then Dante's stock should rise also, as Middleton should start and Dante should start. And Wall is just going to have all those options to kick it out. And both of them are going to see a lot of open shots, a lot of open shots, and just a lot of more usage in general. All right, guys. So that's it for this video. Remember to like it if you found it informative or if you feel like this can happen. And then make sure you subscribe to my channel, as I'm going to be dropping videos just like this and more other fantasy basketball related content all season long. All right, guys, that's it for me. Have a good